Okay, back to what I was saying, guys. So I just put up a video about my husband being a coward, not even talking to me face to face about how he wants a divorce. Just a coward. Just as soon as I turned my back and went to Colorado Springs, he filed for divorce. So, as I talked to this attorney yesterday, I mean, you go to an attorney for legal advice, but a lot of times you get into the personal stuff, right? And it was a good conversation. And so, thinking a lot about what we talked about, you know, I want to share a couple things with you. So, when let me see if I can get this focus right. So, when a couple times I've had people hurt me in life pretty bad. Pretty bad. One was my father. One was my father. He was the first love of my life. And, every daughter has their dad there that they love, whether they know it or not. I mean, obviously, as a child, you're not really aware of that. So, when when I was growing up, he was distant, etc. And then he tried to be in my life once I had kids. And I was like, I don't think so. I don't think you're going to use me to be a grandfather. So he had brought me some stuffed animal when I was in labor and I threw it away. And I had put my foot down that, these are my kids, not yours, kind of thing. So sure enough, he couldn't get what he wanted and he disowned me. He's like, you're not my daughter. They're not my grandkids. So, he had basically disowned me and I left. And I had gone back once. I went back one time and that was it. That's it. If somebody doesn't want me around, I will not go back. So I went back once and I had let my oldest son stay with him. And then I went to pick him up and I tried to talk to my father. And he slammed the door in my face. I mean, I had my son's little brother in my arms. And he was just maybe 3 months old. And my father slammed the door literally in my face. I said something like, do you want to talk or something? And he slammed the door in my face. So after that, I honored what my father wanted. Now, I'm the type of person, I will be your friend and I will be loyal to you. But if you push it too far and you betray me and dishonor me in such a bad way, I will never again talk to you. There's a certain point and then it's over. So with my dad, I never saw him again in 16? No, I think it's been like 18 years now. Never again. I never ever went back and I honored what he wanted. My mother was the one who was like, oh, your father, give him some time, he'll cool off. I never bothered again. And when I tried to talk to family, he was still all offended. So never again. And I don't feel I owe somebody something when they are that bad to me. And when I was younger, he had pulled me by the hair and everything. And I didn't know that was like, he was being physically abusive. I just thought that was normal somehow. I thought, kind of like that was normal. I had a friend in school say, Melissa, are you okay? Because my hair literally was coming out in the back. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And she's like, that's abuse, what your dad did to you, when I told her. And I'm like, my grandmother was like, oh, my father used to throw a lamp at me and stuff. And he used to, have a temper. And that's normal. And he just loved me in his own way. And someone can love you in their own way, but that's not really love, right? So never again did I ever, once, ever even want to see my father again. Never. So someone can push and push and push so far, and then I'm done with them. So that's pretty much what just happened with my husband. He's been a real jerk these last couple years. I mean, he's tried to put me through the ringer. And Kevin Leandro's like, boy, you put up a tough fight. And I'm like, I haven't even really tried. And I haven't. All I've been doing is like mailing stuff in with objections and not really doing a whole lot. So when somebody paid for me to see a lawyer this week, someone paid for it, which I really appreciated. Um, this lawyer really did put into perspective how it looks. He really did. And he's like, you are going to, the judge, you can continue objecting, and the judge will eventually say, ba-boom, this is it. And he will want a final decree, and if you don't do something, he will make the decision. And so he laid it out for me, and he's like, so if he had $1 million in the bank, and there it was just an asset, you don't get that. He said because it would have to produce income, so you would get the interest off it, I mean, if you won. And then we talked about like assets with the house and other assets. So unless somebody's like, selling a house, you don't get anything. I mean, if they're living there, it's an asset. So we just talked about this, and even I didn't just listen to a lawyer. You should never just listen to anybody. I did appreciate what he said, and he laid it out for me. He showed me this is what it's going to look like, and you're really not going to get much, even if you get it. And, it's never been about money for me. I did say, this should be criminal. It should. He went and sold, motorcycles. He went and did this. He went and did that. And he's like, yeah, that's probably against the rules of the court, which it is. And, he went and did this, and, he basically wasted 34 years of my life. And so he could probably say, well, you wasted 34 years of my life, but I'm not the one who chose this. So, looking at everything, I'm like, just do it yourself, just do it yourself. He's, there should never be a man in your life who tries to hold money against you, right? He shouldn't. I mean, I never married for money. His mother is a gold digger. She's the one who wants money. I never married for money. I never, all the time I gave and gave to my husband. I'm a giver, not a taker. I gave 5 sons to him. I gave, I put down my life to take care of him, and now he wants to hold money against me. There's not enough money in the world to give to me for what I did for him. And when I first put in mediation, I put down, well, this is what you'd owe me. You'd owe me this much for housekeeping. You'd owe me this much for laundry, doing your laundry. You'd owe me this much to take care of your kids. And it was in the millions. So there's nothing that he could give me to pay me back for everything I did for him. And, as I've talked to people, even the Uber driver, I'm like, I bettered him. I helped him get his GED. I helped him get a job. I helped him go to school. And he's like, that's what you're supposed to do for each other. And I'm like, exactly. So without me, I hate to say this, but he was nothing. He was absolutely nothing. And he was a loser, and he was going nowhere in life. And so the mistake I made was to not see that he was a user. So when he would borrow money from his parents, he was using them and then turned his back on them. Then he's got Kevin Leandro and others who want to, just be, Kevin needs a friend, I guess. He's got no friends, so he needs my husband. So he did the same thing he did to his parents, he did to me. He used me and then turned around and said, well, let me go use some other people. And that includes Kevin and his parents again. So when you see a man like this, and you've tried to help him with his childhood trauma, you've tried to help him grow as a Christian, because there is a point you are your brother's keeper. After a while, there's got to be a line. There has to be. And I think definitely that line has hit. So when I was talking to Leandro in an email, and he's like, Ben doesn't want to talk to you, and you this and that. I mean, after giving him grace upon grace upon grace, yes, he threw me. Yes, he, betrayed me. Yes, he did this and he did that. And, as someone said on my YouTube channel here, you're supposed to be there for each other and weather the storms in life. And if there was ever a match made in heaven, it was me and him. It was, he was made for me in so many ways. And my husband used to say too, God doesn't make mistakes, and he made us perfectly together. I mean, even our bodies. I mean, he's taller than me, and he's, I had a crush on John Stamos when I was a kid, and, he looked more like him when he was younger, and, just everything. The way he put us together, we lived a mile down the road from each other. He just drew us to each other in a way that it was only God. That's all I got to say. So, and we had, 5 beautiful boys together, beautiful boys. And, there's just no other way to explain that we're very opposite. We balanced each other out. We're just made for each other, and that song by Kiss, I Was Made for Loving You, was our song, because that's just the way it was. So, people change. Someone said to me, sometimes with a man, there's a snap that goes off, and that's it. So, when you have a man who has used divorce to abuse you, it's time to say goodbye. I mean, you can understand, well, maybe he threw me. He never did this before. I was pointing a finger at him, and usually what he did, like he'd say, before he said, don't ever point a finger at me. Move that finger away. I don't know if it was his grandmother or what, but sometimes I talked with my hands and I did the finger, and he would just grab hold of my waist and bring me closer and be like, you need to calm down, you feisty little woman, or whatever. He would just calm me down with a hug. So, and I am calm, but I do express myself. So, we used to, if we had a fight, which wasn't too often, really, it was him with his tantrums and me trying to help him figure out why he's so mad. So, he would just blow up and take a fit and think things that were not true. And so I don't know what you want to do with this family. I don't know if you want to call it a mental illness with them or what, but they've got some major problems. And even telling, others, this is what his sister did, and she went on Facebook to say he had a ring in his nose. And this person's like, did he have a ring in his nose? And I'm like, yeah, I think he did. I think he did. I think he actually did, and he still does with his mother. So, so the point is, after you've tried everything and he just has deserted you, it's time to say goodbye. And it's for your own health. It's for your own benefit, because you don't need stuff dragging you down. When divorce goes on longer, and I mean, it's great, it needs to go on longer to a point to solve things and to think about things, to be able to calm down and let somebody think about their actions, and see if you're able to resolve it. But there's a certain line with divorce that if it goes on further, it becomes destructive, and it's hard to survive with different things going on in the divorce if you can't get your finances in order because you got a divorce going through. So leave it in God's hands. Let God deal with it. God took away my husband's job. I hope that gave him some humble pie. I saw that coming. I also saw how they used not only him, but Jeff DeSico over there. They had used him. They didn't want to pay my husband a good wage. I just got a job starting at 20. My husband was there 22 years at $20 an hour. So I just got a job starting at 20. So, you've got to look at companies too, and you've got to say, it's hard to see it when you get in there. Is this company willing to give me what I'm worth, or are they just going to use me? If they are, I'm out of there and find another job. So, Just, there's a point that you've got to draw the line. And when you've done everything that you can do, and I feel like I feel like I've done everything to try to work it out. And, there's been times, divorce is emotional, and I haven't gotten too emotional. I haven't really cried, not really, tear up, but not really cry about this. I don't cry usually over things, I just don't. So when you have tried everything, and it grieves me more what he put my boys through than me, you just got to say, this is a whole different person. I never knew he was like that. I never knew that this was the type of person he has turned into. So say goodbye. It's the 4th of July. Enjoy your life. I'm still young enough to be able to get ahead of the game. So I'm lucky. I'm happy for that. I'm happy it didn't happen even 10 years from now, where we had a house and brought stuff because we had talked about building a house too. I'm so glad it didn't happen then. We don't have to worry about that. So say goodbye to him. He has tried to destroy you, especially if he's been really cruel. Say goodbye. Let God deal with him and say, a la vista, baby. Good riddance. See ya. A lot of people have a good divorce and they can be friends. Not happening here. No way. A friend to me is someone who is good to you, who's loyal to you, who's thinking of your best, who is a real friend. And so there's no loyalty here with him. What else? Just goodbye. Goodbye. You had it all. Like, he had a house, he had a beautiful family, and he wrecked it all. So hopefully he can go to his mommy, maybe marry his mommy. I don't know. He's got some unhealthy stuff with her going on. So, yeah. So I don't go to my parents. I don't go running to them. I don't go running to people when things happen in life. I don't go asking them for money as he's asked his parents. I don't go do, my parents disowned me and that's it. His parents disowned him and he didn't like it. They wouldn't talk to him, so he ran back to them to try to make them happy. So when you're an adult, and that means you don't run to your mommy and daddy. So, yeah. So I think that's it. That's all I got to say. This is done. I'm moving on with my life. There's a man here who paid for my whole hotel for, over a week here. Don't even, I'm not even committed to him at all, and the Christ-like love from other people in the church has been amazing. One of the ladies, she had me stay with her and took care of me the whole time, and some of the bruises I had on me because of moving, I've been able to, restore myself and get some rest. So I am going to enjoy the 4th. I have some things to do tomorrow, but I am going to just relax tonight and enjoy the day and the holiday. Okay, thanks for joining me, guys, and I will be, I changed the name to this channel, and I will putting my own name on instead of Mrs. Benjamin. I will be doing stuff on, let me see, probably post-divorce stuff and moving on with your life and starting fresh. Okay, thanks for joining me, guys.